All of these bitches is on me. 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 All of these bitches.
Well, old Mel Kiper pissed me off to start the day. Came out with a little mock draft, and he is the biggest fucking joke in the world. This is my problem. See, I watch college football all year long. So I scout guys all year long. I don't at the end of the year like these other scouts who I don't know what the fuck they're doing during the year. A lot of scouts, I feel like they grab like 4 or 5 pieces of film, like 4 or 5 games, and they evaluate those 4 or 5 games. Like they don't understand how a guy, progresses through a season, or they don't understand, a guy week to week. And that's something that I do. I understand guys week to week. I watch them the entire year. I don't do this shit where I take 5 games and I decide, okay, this guy he showed me really good shit in this game. He showed me really good shit in this game, shit like that. So I got a real problem because the only way you got fucking Baker Mayfield in your top 10 overall, like this overall top 10 is if you literally watch some fucking highlights, or you chose like 2 or 3 games to choose from. Like if you watched every one of their games, like there's no way Baker Mayfield will be that high. And it's not even that. I mean, it's so funny. All the time they'll sit here and tell you Lamar Jackson's not this, Lamar Jackson's not that, Lamar Jackson this, Lamar Jackson that. He's not tall enough. Well, why isn't Baker Mayfield tall enough? I mean, I've seen Lamar Jackson make just as good as throws as Baker Mayfield. He's got a fucking cannon. If he doesn't have a cannon, then fucking Baker Mayfield doesn't have a cannon. So that's my biggest issue is like, why do we build some of these cats up, and why do we tear some of these cats down before, combines even started? I mean, my thing is with Baker Mayfield, great quarterback at the college level, but he's small. I mean, he's not going to be fucking Drew Brees, and he's not the same athlete that Russell Wilson is. We saw exactly what happened with Johnny Manziel when he came into the league. He's not as fast. All the defensive linemen are way faster. My thing, and then the thing is all year we've known that Josh Rosen and Sam Darnold are the top 2 prospects. So why are they falling down the list? Josh Allen, to me, I really like Josh Allen, but I'm not going to sit here and put him as my top guy. And I don't understand. Okay, so Kiper had Josh Allen as his top guy in his draft, and I understand that because Rosen's already said I'm not going to go fucking play for the Browns. Like that was kind of like, and Browns aren't going to draft him. But they have a choice between Darnold and they have a choice between Rosen. Now, Mel Kiper's fucking list will change 6,000 times in the time period between now and the draft or whatever. And the motherfucker's so geeked up on coffee. I mean, he has to own a Starbucks out there somewhere in Connecticut. He's a fucking Jew is basically what I'm saying. And let's just talk about my list that I have made, that I have created. These are guys that I've watched all year. I don't have any like, I listen to this guy or I listen to that guy. I watch every single game, all the power conference games I watch, like all the big time conference games. And then obviously if I know Josh Allen, I'm going to try to watch Josh Allen film, or I'm going to try to watch Josh Allen games. Some other guys, Mike White is another guy that I'm going to take time and I'm going to watch him. I really liked him. Riley Ferguson, honestly, that's honestly like a power conference. I know that's not like an actual power conference, but a lot of his games are on, so you're able to watch him. Nick Stevens is another guy. And then, you don't get to watch as much FBS, and I think that's a reason why some people don't like the FBS guys as much, is because they don't have as much film on them, or they just don't pay attention to the FCS. And I will say, if it is no fun, because there's certain like running backs and certain wide receivers that I have heard nothing about, and I don't know where I'm going to find a Virginia State film. I don't know where I'm going to find some Grambling film. I don't know where I'm going to find some of this small college film. So basically you get a highlight tape, and I absolutely hate highlight tapes because they basically take all the good and they take all the bad out, and you get no idea of a guy. You get a lot of hype. Something that I learned in a scouting class that I took last year was your first impressions will get you a lot, because what you see first, you expect to come back and see. So if you watch film of a guy that you really like if the first film you watch of him is something that you really, really like, then you're going to have a tendency to like build him up a little bit more. If you watched a game where he was fucking ass that first game, you're going to have more of a tendency to not like him as much. So that's something that I don't like. And so that's why I watch, week to week, what goes on and stuff like that. So let's talk about my list. Josh Rosen, obviously I have Josh Rosen as the top guy. At the first of the year when he had that comeback against Texas A&M, there's things that you ask of guys, and that comeback was one of those things that you just can't ignore. You can't ignore that comeback. I know he's kind of like a diva in a sense. He's always talking in the fucking media, and he was a fucking tennis player, and he could definitely be a fucking joke. And at the same time that you like Rosen, he's kind of a little bitch. And I totally see that. And there's a lot of ways to be like, I really don't like Rosen. And the fact that like he kind of would sit out at time this year, and he basically like he knew he was like a top prospect, and he just almost like was just playing not to do bad, I feel like sometimes. But to me, he's a guy that's like, I compare him to Eli Manning, because he's probably going to be a guy that's in the league for a long time. He's going to be a serviceable quarterback for a good amount of time. Like, just think of Eli Manning's career and think that could be Josh Rosen. He's probably going to go to a bigger franchise, how he like. And the thing that reminds me the most about Eli was like Eli got drafted by who was it? He got drafted by the Chargers, and you should have saw. I don't know. You can go back and watch the film of that draft, but he was absolutely disgusted. He couldn't even. It was like Embiid when Embiid got drafted by the Sixers. He was so disgusted, and like he was like, "What the fuck's going on?" Like I was supposed to go to the Giants. Like I wasn't supposed to go to the fucking Chargers. And then the second pick overall was Phillip Rivers, or maybe it wasn't second overall, but the Giants ended up trading Phillip Rivers for Eli Manning. So two guys that had, tremendous careers, like, maybe, you can say, oh, Phillip Rivers hasn't ever won a ring, and he's really never been that successful in the playoffs. But, if you look at it at the end of the day, he's had a damn successful career. If I was a franchise and you gave me, Phillip Rivers, and you said he's going to be serviceable, he's going to be your quarterback for the next 10, 12 years, I would have been happy with it. So Josh Rosen, to me, I think can be great, but his ceiling is only so high. It's kind of like Eli Manning. He if he gets surrounded by a really great team, and maybe he can lead them, but he's not gonna like take over the world, anytime soon or nothing like that. Sam Darnold had a really tough year. If you only watch his film from this year, you'd say, fuck this kid. I'm not like, why is this kid coming out? But you got to go back and you got to watch his film from his sophomore year. He had a tremendous sophomore year, making so many good throws. And then he's one of those guys that just comes up big. He comes up in the big moments. Anytime like Darnold was asked to come through, he usually comes through. And that's something that I like as an intangible. And something else that I want to say when you're looking at like quarterbacks, Bill Parcells has this like great list of like things that that you have to be drafted as for him to draft you. And I can't think of all of them right now, but I'm gonna look it up. One of them I know. One of them that I know is that they have to be a 3-year starter. So if a guy's not a 3-year starter, then that's one of them. He has to be a senior in college. He has to graduate from college. Now, the graduate from college, I think that one's a little like outdated. Start 30 games, win 23 of them, post a 2.1 touchdown to interception ratio, complete at least 60% of passes thrown. So when you talk about some of the guys in this draft, Josh Allen, is he a 3-year starter? No, he only did 2. Yes, he does have a degree, and yes, he graduated. Did he start 30 games? No. Did he win 23? No. And touchdown to interception ratio, 44 to 21. So his is good. Completion percentage over 60? No, it's 56. So he met 3 of the 7 criterias. Darnold, 3-year starter? No. Is he a senior? No. Did he graduate? No. Did he start 30 games? No. Did he win 23 games? No, but he did win 20 games out of 24 games started, so that's not bad. Touchdown to interception ratio 2 to 1, yes. It was 57 to 21. Completion percentage over 60, yes, 64.9. I like Sam Darnold a lot. Okay, so let's talk about Lamar Jackson. So Lamar Jackson, 3-year starter, yes. Is he a senior? No. Did he graduate? No. Did he start 30 games? Yes. Did he win 23 games? Yes. 24 of 34. Touchdown to interception ratio, 69 of 27, so yes. Completion percentage of over 60? No, we only have 57%. So he met 4 of the 7. Baker Mayfield, is he a 3-year starter? Yes. Is he a senior? Yes. Did he graduate? Yes. Did he win 30 games? Yes. Did he win 27 games? Yes. Touchdown to interception ratio 2 to 1, 131 to 30. Completion percentage 68.5%. So Baker Mayfield is reaching all 7 of the criterias. I did not realize that. But that looks good for him, and I think that's probably a reason why he's climbed up draft boards the way he has. Josh Rosen, 3-year starter, no. Is he a senior? No. Did he graduate? No. Did he start 30 games? Yes. Did he win 27? No. He only won 17. Touchdown to interception ratio 59 to 26. So yes, basically everybody is yes on the touchdown to interception ratio. Completion percentage over 60. Yes, he met 3 of the 7 criterias. Mason Rudolph, 3 years as a starter. Yes. Is he a senior? Yes. Did he graduate? Yes. Did he start 30 games? Yes. 41. Did he win 23? Yes. He won 32. Touchdown to interception ratio at least, or his touchdown to interception ratio was 92 to 26. So yes, he did that, and his completion percentage was over 60 at 63.2. So Mason Rudolph and Baker Mayfield are the only 2 guys to meet all 7 criterias. Darnold was the worst. He had 2.7 or 2 of 7. Allen and Rosen had 3 of 7, and Jackson had 4 of 7. So I guess that's a reason that Baker Mayfield is climbing up draft boards. And I didn't do any of those stats. I saw those. If you just type in Bill Parcells and then QBs on Google, the first thing that came up for me was scout.com/NFL/Browns. So somebody did all that work. Great work there at Scott. Let's see who's it. Tom Servo. Tom Servo posted that. Great job by him. I want to give him a little credit when credit is due. Okay, so let's go back to my list. So, like I said, I got Josh Rosen as my top quarterback, but this is what I think that he's a project, and I think that I don't know why I got him as my top guy. Sam Darnold, another really good player, and I like him. He's my number 2 guy. And Lamar Jackson reminds me too much of Michael Vick for me to put him any lower than this. When you watch him play, please don't tell me you don't see Michael Vick. And he's 6'3". The size is not an issue. The one thing I will say about Mason Rudolph and Baker Mayfield, they are a product of their system. You saw their numbers were so good, but I think they're a product of their system. Mason Rudolph plays in a high-power offense, fast-paced offense. Baker Mayfield plays in that run-pass option, and the run-pass option is going to be something that you're going to see him at the NFL level. He could be similar to Russell Wilson, but I just don't see that happening. So at 3, I had Lamar Jackson. I just see him as Mike Vick 2.0, and I absolutely hate all the bullshit that's coming out. Bill Polian, you need to fucking retire. You're old as shit. You were great in the 90s with the Bills, and you were great with the Colts in the 2000s, but you need to go on to retirement. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about if you're going to sit there and say Lamar Jackson is not one of the guys. Josh Allen, he had a really tough year, and a lot of people just don't understand why he's so high and it's if you don't watch his film, if you didn't watch his sophomore film the year before, you're not gonna like. I mean, it's tough to really vouch for him by the way his film was this year if you just watch this film. But last year he was really good. And he wasn't really on that good of a team this year, but his team last year was really good. And I look at that more of what it's going to be like when he gets to the NFL level. He's going to be on a team with some guys that are with other talents around him. But Josh Allen's just a cool story. He's a guy that didn't get noticed at all. He sent his film to Craig Bowles at Wyoming, and he's been a starter since his sophomore year or whatever. Luke Falk had a really bad senior year. He got benched at times by Tyler Helinski. Rest in peace. But Luke Falk, to me, this is a guy that when you look at the offense that Washington State runs, which is like basically Texas Tech offense, it's Mike Leach offense is what I should say. I just see him as a guy when you watch Tom Brady does a lot of short passes, a lot of shit over the middle. He throws to his backs a lot. I think if Luke Falk went to the damn Browns, then yeah, I think he's going to be a bust. I think he would suck. But I think if Luke Falk can fall far enough in the draft and then not be expected as much to just really make an impact soon, I think he's a guy that for the Patriots would be a really good guy. I think, and the fact that they got rid of Jimmy G, they're looking to a replacement for him. And so Luke Falk to me is the guy for the Patriots. He's my fifth guy on the list. If you watch it, I mean, he has some records in the Pac-12. He's thrown for a lot of yards in the Pac-12. And when you got to watch his film from his junior year. He had some really nice games, and I hope that people start to give Luke Falk a little bit of due because I feel like he's caught a lot of slack because of his tough senior year. Like I'm just trying to think, like if you didn't know anything about Luke Falk and you heard like, oh, this guy's a pretty good quarterback, and you decided I'm going to go check him out. Like his senior year, like if you're like watching this year, you'd be like, man, this guy's really not that great. What's the hype about? So sixth on my list is Mason Rudolph. Like I said, I think he's a benefit of the high power offense. He's a really big guy though. He's got great size. He's got great weight. And I think he's a guy that he'll probably sit on a bench for 2 or 3 years, but then he might get an opportunity, maybe like a Bryce Petty type situation, and we'll see what he does when he gets that situation. Baker Mayfield, to me, he's a college legend. Heisman's and NFL just don't work out to me, and I'm gonna continue to say that. That's just how I film. You're gonna be impressed with him if you watch his film. You would say why? Like if you watch his film, you're gonna be like, why do people not like him? Why? And it's just the fact that some of the things that he does, some of his intangibles are not going to translate at the next level. He's not going to be able to run away. The defensive lines are way faster in the NFL. The run pass option is not going to be something that he's going to really be able to go to. And to me, they're talking about thrusting him on the scene as like a jet or something like that. And he's not a guy to me that can just be thrust onto the scene. If so, he's going to have a real short career. Okay, so then number 8, Mike White. This is a big boy, real tall, great size. The size to me is hard to ignore. He's a 2 or 3 year starter at Western Kentucky, and Western Kentucky's been a pretty good team over the last couple of years. So he's a guy that I've seen play a good amount. I like Mike White. He's definitely not. I mean, the top 7 guys that I talked about are definitely to me the top 7 guys. But my when we're talking about, okay, we're falling off a little bit to some other guys, Mike White is another really good quarterback that I think when the prospect or when the combine comes around, I think he could climb up because I really don't think people really are paying attention. And I think, sometimes when the combine comes around, they're like, oh, shit, this kid's really not that bad. Or, oh, shit, why were we not higher on this kid? And then they may go watch some film on him. So I think Mike White's a guy that's gonna climb up draft boards after the combine. Kyle LaUlette, he's the diamond for me this year of the FCS. There's always that one guy at the FCS that kind of goes unnoticed, or even if he does go get noticed. This kid, this is another one of those kids that had a really good junior year. That to me, he got hurt, and so in the FCS playoffs, you didn't really get to see him play. And I feel like a lot of people don't really pay attention to FCS during the year, but like playoffs is a time where like even me, I can find some players that I didn't know of because they make the playoffs or whatever. It's kind of like high school football. There's a lot of guys that don't get noticed until the playoffs roll around when they're on like the bigger scale or whatever. And I think this is that next guy in the FCS. Your Carson Wentz, your Jimmy G. Now I'm not saying he's going to be anything like that at this point, but just saying when you talk about an FCS guy that's a diamond, I'm looking at Kyle Laulette. Nobody's talking about him throughout the year. He was a guy nobody was really talking about. He had a tough senior year. And he's number 9 on my list. Nick Stevens. This kid just looks like a hard worker. He doesn't just have any great intangibles, but to me, he's a guy that I think will get on a roster and maybe get a shot 2 or 3 years down the road. And Nick Stevens from Colorado State. Riley Ferguson. Riley Ferguson's a guy that I was higher on at the first year because I kind of saw how people were missing on him. But as the year went on, more and more people, started to see what Riley Ferguson could do. And now he's kind of up higher than he's been. He's an 11 for me. And he's tall. He can't, he ran a little bit. Not a whole lot, but he's not. I don't want you to think he's a runner or anything. He's pretty tall. He's got good size. And basically, like I feel like you're just kind of waiting for him to make a mistake so you could take him off your list. And he just never really made a mistake. He's a good player. So Jeremiah Briscoe, he was the FCS leader in passing the last 2 seasons. He's a guy that really nobody's talking about. He threw for shit tons of yards, and it's part of the offense, kind of the system that he was in. But he's a guy to me that you got to give a look. I liked his arm strength. His touchdown to interception ratio is really good. So this is a kid I like. His numbers really stand out at you if you go look at his stats. So then 13 on the list is Luis Perez. This is a guy that most people probably have never heard of. He's a Division II guy. Not even FCS, Division II. So the backstory on him is he was a bowler in high school. I think he had like 13 perfect games or something like that. And he decided that he wanted to play college football, I think in his freshman year or so. And so he just led this Texas A&M Commerce team to the Division II championship. And he's an Aaron Rodgers enthusiast. He wears number 12. He watches tons of Aaron Rodgers film. And this is one of those guys that I feel like, if you're looking for a guy to make an impact right now, you don't like this guy, or this is a guy that you can kind of, kick to the curb. But if you're just, want to add this guy on the back end of your roster, I really like Luis Perez. And I think if a team gives him a chance, he could be a quarterback. He's very unexperienced. He's kind of like your Tim Duncan type, where he didn't really play until college or whatever. So he's a really young kid, and I want to see what happens with him. Devontae Kincaid, another FCS guy. He transferred from Ole Miss to Grambling. He's another dual threat type. I like him. And then Quentin Flowers. I had to put Quentin Flowers on this list just because he's a guy that I just have so much respect for the way that he's done at South Florida the last 2 years. And yeah, he's probably not your typical quarterback, and I'm sure they're going to try to move him positions because of his athleticism. But my thing is if you're going to put Baker Mayfield on the scene and think that his intangibles are good enough, I don't know why Quentin Flowers aren't. So, and then, I got like 15 guys on my list. I really don't try to entertain like some of the guys that I just am not seeing at all, that I just have literally no respect for. Those guys, TJ Barrett, I have no respect for TJ Barrett. I don't think he's an NFL quarterback. Kenny Hill is not an NFL quarterback. I do not like Kenny Hill. Nick Shimanek from Texas Tech, I think he's a benefit of his system. He's not a guy that I'm real high on. I don't like him. The one more, Kurt Benekirk. He was good at times, and you kind of saw his arm at times, and you kind of wanted to put him on your list. But I'm not high on Kurt Benekirk or whatever his name is. This kid named Chase Litton out of I think it's Marshall. He's a guy that for me, I I'm really surprised. I think his dad's the coach. I was really surprised that he decided to come out. You know, I was thoroughly surprised that he decided to come out. I think he's only a junior. John Wolford, I mean, he's tiny. He had a pretty good senior year, but he's a run pass option guy. I'm not entertaining Tanner Lee. You know, Tanner Lee left because, you know, he was Robert Frost, or I think his name is Robert Frost. That might be an author or something like that. But Scott Frost is his name. Robert Frost, who the fuck that? Scott Frost, who just became the coach at Nebraska. He actually went to Nebraska. He ran the option. At Nebraska, he's gone to he was at Oregon for a while. You know, he was at Central Florida last year. You know, he went undefeated, so he got this job here. When he basically, I think they're probably going to switch the offense to, you know, the read option type stuff. So I think that's the reason Tanner Lee left. But he's not a guy I'm entertaining. Kyle Allen, I have been absolutely unimpressed with him his entire college career. He's not a guy I'm entertaining. Danny Etling, not entertaining him. Brandon Silvers, not really entertaining him. Logan Woodside, not really entertaining him. Austin Allen, no. Max Brown had more than enough opportunities to impress, and I am not impressed with him. Now, there's this kid named Chris Streveler from South Dakota, and he was a junior. I'm pretty sure he was a junior this year, and I didn't really think he'd be coming out. And let me make sure he's not. But Chris Streveler is a guy that I really like for next year's draft. I don't think he should come out this year. I think he's only a junior. But I could be wrong. And if he's coming out, dude, he's number 8 on my list. I didn't think he was coming out. What the fuck? God, dude, it's so fucking hard, dude, to find if someone's fucking coming out or not. What the fuck? Why do people not report shit like this? You gotta do so much fucking research just to fucking find kids. Let me see if he's on the fucking NFL.com. But anyways, Chris Streveler, he had a fucking arm. And he has a lot of intangibles. He's pretty good at runner. He's a transfer from Minnesota. I really like the kid. And the reason that I didn't have him on my list was because I kind of thought he was going to come out next year. I didn't.
Look, I'm so raw, turn the oven on. Chef Papa John, I get the Parmesan. She want a yellow nigga, corn on the cob. Indian giver, slob on my knob. The bitch blow hard, harder than some halls.